What is up, guys? Welcome back to Mateo Family Vibes. Welcome back to the channel. Have you ever wondered what is the difference between renting in the Philippines versus renting in America? Well, let's talk about it in this particular video because there's definitely going to be some differences between both. For those of you that are living in America, I'm sure you know, when it comes to renting either a condo, a house, an apartment, sometimes it can be very frustrating. So I think mainly one of the biggest differences is in the US, everything is honestly based off of credit. If you have good credit, you'll get approved pretty fast. If you don't, you'll probably end up having to pay a lot more to get into that same place. Now, one of the aspects I think that I like the most about here in the Philippines is that for anything that you're renting, whether it be a house, a condo, or anything like that, there is no credit system here. You don't go through credit, essentially. Since I've lived here, I have not needed to present any kind of proof of income or anything like that at all. Now, I don't know if that's and if it works differently for, let's say, Filipinos that want to rent or anything like that. But as far as showing any kind of proof of income or anything like that, never needed to show any kind of proof of income. And there is no credit check here. They don't care about credit here. So it's mostly all cash. And very importantly, it's very kind of old school here as well, in the sense that most places that rent, most condos, apartments, houses, require you to have post-dated checks. Yes, that's right, post-dated checks. So, so if you don't have checks here, you need to have a bank account, basically. Now, I have been lucky enough to stay here the entire time, going on over 3 years now, and never needed post-dated checks. Every apartment, condo that we've lived in, the owner has accepted our money basically digitally, right? Sending it from bank to bank transfers, something of that nature, but without basically post-dated checks. So we have been able to do that without post-dated checks. So that is something that you can do here. Obviously, it's not, not every owner does it, but it is something that it is possible because we've been doing it for over 3 years now at every single place. We have not needed to get post-dated checks for any of the units that we've ever lived in. So that's always a great thing. Now, in the US, obviously the biggest thing is credit, how much you make, and then they require 2 or 3 months of down payment along with security deposits and things of that nature. When it comes to renting a condo here or a house here, most of the time it's basically 2 months rent, 2 months deposit. Some are basically 1 month rent, 2 months deposit. So it's a combination of either 2-2 or 2-1 so far that we've experienced. Now, luckily, we have been able to negotiate 2-1. So basically 2 months of security deposit, 1 month advance type of scenario. So that is so far how it's worked out for us here so far. Another thing that is different here is the fact that you can do multi-year leases off the rip. So typically in the US, you're pretty much doing a 12-month lease. Sometimes they do 15-month lease, something of that nature. You could do month to month and stuff, but those are really, really expensive leases if you do them in the US. Here, most of all of the condos here are going to be a minimum of a year lease. There are some owners that do allow you to do 6-month leases and stuff like that, which is fine. most of the Airbnbs or most of the condos that are rented on, like, let's say Airbnb or Condo or something of that nature, you could do basically month to month on those, but it is going to cost you a little bit more to go month to month. So what we have found is that the longer the lease, the more breathing room, negotiation that you have on the price. That is something that we plan on continuing to do while we live here, is essentially make sure that we do multi-year leases for any kind of unit that we stay in. So also, I think a big part of that too is the fact that it locks in your price for, X amount of time. So if you think about, if I think about whenever we moved into this current condo that we are in here, where we've been here for about going on 2 years now. Before we moved here, we were going to sign a lease in a condo out in BGC, basically over here in BGC, and that particular condo was, I want to say 70,000. We brought it down to 67,000 or something of that nature on a 2-year lease. But the owner of that condo did not accept, didn't accept the offer. So we were like, cool, we'll go with this one. And it ended up being way cheaper anyways. Funny enough, right after we signed the lease here, like literally the next day, the owner of the previous condo that we had, put a bid on for 67,000 for a 2-year lease in BGC, they actually came back and they're like, they'll accept, the terms or whatnots, and unfortunately had to turn it down. Now, an interesting part about that is the fact that that same condo right now, okay, if you were to want to lease that same condo right now that we were looking for 2 years ago for 67, even 70,000 pesos a month, right now they're trying to rent it out for 110,000 pesos. So in the 2 years that we've been here, the rent essentially has gone up that much. So hence why we like, longer term leases for obvious reasons, because it keeps us locked into the same rate while everyone else is paying a lot more. So that is definitely I think a huge advantage that you could have here, especially when it comes to negotiating, because here, this is one thing that I do like about, living in a condo here, in the city, is the fact that everything is pretty much negotiable. You can negotiate with the owner anything that you want. Whereas in the States, if you go to like an apartment complex or a condo building or whatnot, and you're dealing with like leasing offices and things of that nature, like, you pretty much get an empty apartment and that's it. There is no negotiating prices or anything like that. Here is completely different. Here you can negotiate anything you want. You can negotiate, hey, if I give you, if I sign a 4-year lease, how much of a discount will you give me if I sign a 4-year lease? Because you have to think about it, here in Manila specifically, there is a major oversupply of condos right now of about 34 months. So meaning that if no condos, were built, would stop building right now, it would literally take 34 months for the remaining condos that are available right now to actually be sold or leased. So as far as the situation right now here in Manila, I mean, the buyers right now, or the renters, have a major advantage because there's a lot of condos that are literally just sitting empty right now. There's, a lot of condos in BGCs that are empty. If you take a look at this building here, this building right here was literally just done, I want to say maybe 8 months ago. This building is the newest building in the complex. We have 3 buildings here. The one that I live in here is the first one. That one right there was the second one that was completed, and then this one just got complete maybe 8 months ago or so. And in that building right there, there are still over, I want to say, 100, about 110 units that are empty, sitting empty right now in that particular building, that are still yet to be sold and are available. So, and that's just in that building. The other building over here also has, I want to say, about 50 units left, to sell, to rent, or whatnot. So there is an abundance of condo units here in Manila specifically that you could, take advantage of if you're, coming to stay here. And negotiations are really wide open right now with what you can ask, and how you could kind of maneuver the pricing. What kind of, do you want it to have furniture? Do you not want it to have furniture? What kind of access do you get to amenities and things of that nature? So everything here is negotiable, and that's definitely something that I do like about it here. In the States, obviously, not really that negotiable. It is what it is. You take it, you leave it, and you kind of go about your way. Another thing that is different as well is specifically like in condos in the States. If you live in a condo in the States, you have to pay HOA fees, and those could be like absurd depending on where you live. Most of those HOA fees are like $500, $600, $700 a month, which are, to me, ridiculous. Here, the HOA fees for the condos are actually included in the rent. So if you're a renter, you don't pay HOA fees. It's all included in the actual monthly fee. So the only thing that you pay out yourself are utilities, so water, electric, internet, and even there have been times where you could also negotiate, let's say, the internet or water bill or electric inside of your lease as well. So you just have a lot of different options here compared to to America, essentially, when it comes to renting a condo. And I think it's one of the biggest advantages about living here. And the biggest thing also is the fact that you have to remember that here it is obviously way cheaper to live in a condo. So I've seen condos in New York, for example, that are literally studio condos for like $3,500. It's absolutely absurd, the pricing of condos in the big cities like New York, Chicago, Miami, Houston, LA. It's just absurd, honestly. So you get a lot more bang for the buck here, for what you can get anywhere in the States, hands down, if you're living in a major city like LA, New York, Miami, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, those types of places. But anyway, so those are, I think, some of the major differences between renting a condo here in the Philippines, Manila specifically, versus renting in the actual US. Hopefully this video brought you some different insight into the differences between the two countries. And as always, please make sure to share, like, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.